I'm with Amy Alkon, everybody. Welcome back to Walk-Ins. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, this is great. I'm so glad to do this with you.
I'm excited to talk about your newest book, Going Menopostal, which is very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, but yeah, it's we this is how we make the best of it.
Yeah, I was just doing a podcast actually with Katie Herzog, and we were talking about if perimenopause is actually a thing. Because if I've been joking that it sounds like something they came up with, like that John Hamm meme where he's like, we'll call it perimenopause. Like it's something to just sell products and facelifts to women. Is perimenopause, tell us about your book, and then will you answer that question for me? Is
Oh,
perimenopause a real thing?
yes, I will. And in fact, this is why I wrote the book because I had a horrible perimenopause. It is definitely a thing. And this came out of me having a hot flash sitting here. I'm in my very cool, breezy Venice office. It was a nice day, just sitting here and working. And all of a sudden, I'm locked in a car trunk in the Everglades. What is wrong? My whole body, it was like this, like blaze of fire. And I thought, oh my God, I think this is a hot flash. And so I have been lucky. So since 2007, he's an epidemiologist and biostatistician, one of the top in the world. He's behind reforming all the bad medical research. Sandra Greenland. He has coached me informally in how to read and vet, critically evaluate research, and has also over the years kept sending me all these articles, journal articles, press articles about the horrible fraud and errors and abuse in medicine. And so because of this, when I have a problem, I mean, for my hot flash, I wanted to go to the doctor and say, I'm really uncomfortable. What should I do? But I never do that. So I dive into the research and I am horrified because there's this huge gap between medical practice and what the evidence actually says. And in fact, the big scandal of gynecology departments is that most gynecologists are baby doctors. They have zero training or experience in menopause or perimenopause. This makes it a violation of medical ethics for them to treat you. But because they don't have anybody, they have them all do this. And then, well, there are now some that say they're menopause experts, and what they are, you're from California, you know this, traffic school. I'm going to give that as an example. If you do something, get a ticket, you have to go to traffic school or you get these huge fines and insurance problems. And what that is, it's an online course. You take the course online and then you get the reduction in your ticket or whatever. Well, they have a traffic school for your vagina. And this is the Menopause Society's online course. You pass a little online course and they call you an expert. Well, are
Oh,
you an
wow.
expert? I mean, I sat here 8 year deep dive into the research, and I had some beliefs going in like, oh my God, estrogen is Satan. No, I was wrong,
Yeah.
not scientific. I read and I saw that that is not the case, and so unless you challenge those beliefs by this deep dive, you don't really have any sort of knowledge with which to treat women. And so some of them have like a little knowledge, but nobody has expertise on the level they should to be responsibly treating patients. And so I didn't really get into perimenopause too much, but that's where the book started. And then
Right.
perimenopause, oh my God, it is most definitely a thing.
Yeah, the it's I feel like it was really it came about to me this kind of big gap in information was revealed, I think during COVID really dramatically when women were getting the shot and then saying their periods were messed up, and you were hearing from nurses. Like, I would go in and I'd say, I got the shot. Because I got one, I got Johnson and Johnson, and then my period just kind of disappeared. And I went in and I was like, I think that my period's messed up from the shot. And the nurse who is just, they have the nurse who's doing all your just stuff before you talk to the doctor, taking all your vitals. She was like, "Oh, that's everyone." And I was like, "Everyone? Like, don't you think we should be talking about this?" But then I read a study on all of this, jabs and period and whatnot, and did it affect it or not. And they never even thought to look at how COVID affected women's cycles at all. So before they
It's
even
terrible.
looked at the vaccines, they didn't even look at whether COVID was affecting women's cycles. So they had literally no baseline at all when they were looking at whether or not these vaccines were affecting it, because it never even occurred to anybody in medicine to go, "Hey, how did COVID affect a woman's eggs, ovulation, any of it?"
Isn't it
And I was like, they
egregious?
just still don't even think about this stuff.
Oh
It's
no,
crazy to
we'll just
me.
jab you and all the men with myocardia, this is so terrible. And the thing is, this is the reality of our medical care. I talk about how there are three myths of our medical care, and they are that doctors engage, they just make decisions about your care based in scientific evidence, that they are trained in diagnostic reasoning, like Dr. House, to figure out what's wrong with you, and that they can correctly assess your risk. What's my risk of breast cancer? That they could actually tell you. None of those things are the case. Doctors are not trained in how to read research and critically evaluate it in med school. They can't read research. They don't have time to read the research. So, you're being treated based on practice standards, which are lists, printed lists. Oh, like, what do we do for this? Oh, okay. This is not expertise, and they can't diagnose you properly. Diagnosis means looking for the underlying cause of what's going on with you, and instead they make this error of looking at your symptoms and treating your symptoms. Now, symptoms are the problem in perimenopause, and in menopause they are a problem, but we need to see, okay, you're having this go on, what is the underlying cause? Because, for example, hot flashes, doctors will give women antidepressants to stop the hot flashes. Well, they do stop them, and the women who have breast cancer, will use those, because they're told they can't take hormones. And so, but what they don't do is protect your bones. They don't help your sleep.
Mhm.
There are all these problems that go on. And plus they have all these side effects. I wouldn't take an antidepressant unless I were, had major depression and no way out, because they really, you can do so much. So much of depression is actually, or depressive symptoms, it's actually, they're related to life events. And you need to look at that first. I'm not minimizing people who have the kind of depression where it's just, we don't know where it comes from and it's horrible, it's major. But we often need to correct things in our lives, and we want to take a pill, it's easier, but that is preferable because of all the terrible side effects. And some of them can be lasting, from
Yeah.
antidepressants, for example.
So, what are as somebody who's entering into this season in my life, it 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 just is like never ending for women. I did experience a lot of this too, even when I had my ectopic. There was a doctor that they kind of like, what do they call it? There's like a term when they like pull them off the curb. Um, this the My doctor wasn't there. They grabbed the doctor who was nearest to look at my ultrasound because they were testing my blood levels every day to see if I had an ectopic, and I had like a pain in my side, and I just on an instinctual level said, "I think I have an ectopic," and I don't know why I said that, and then the doctor was like, "Your chance," the radiologist thought she saw something in my ovary, and he was like, "The chances of this are like 1 in 5,000, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Look, doc, I don't wanna lose an ovary because of your belief in the odds, and trust me when I tell you, like, based on past experiences of mine, I will be the 1 in 5,000 whose ovary explodes over the weekend, so can my luckily, the, like, young woman PA or whatever they are, the trainee people who aren't doctors, but they're the people who take care of us now that there aren't enough doctors, or doctors aren't affordable because of our shitty healthcare, and so she was young, and she was, like, really listening to me advocate for myself, and she said, "Look, come in, we'll do we'll do a test on your blood again tomorrow because this is inconclusive, although it's presenting almost exactly like an ectopic just from the way what the blood work was doing." And then she said, "We'll rush the results and then make a decision from there." And sure enough, the blood levels had doubled, but not quite doubled. And then they collapsed. And she was like, this looks a lot like ectopic. And my pain was increasing, so then they gave me a shot, but had I not pushed for that and had she not advocated for me, I would have been in the ER with an ectopic pregnancy, probably exploding and no ovary, and that's the ovary that my child came from.
Oh, see
I
what
mean,
you
it's, like,
did.
crazy.
It's terrible. And what you did is so important. We women tend to be higher in a personality trait called agreeableness. This is the people pleaser trait. It also makes us empathetic and does some nice things. But we are reticent to push for things and to stand up and to be irritating and everything. And that is so important. You're advocating for your health. And what I say to women is, look, yeah, this is, if it's not your way, you're going to have what, like, 30 seconds of discomfort while you say, like, come on, like, I need to have this looked at. Can I talk to a supervisor? Be a pain in the ass for your health. You need to do that.
Mhm.
You could die or lose an ovary. Your whole life can change from a mistake like this in the emergency room. And I'm starting a Substack, subscribers at amyalkon.net if you want to subscribe. And my first one is on this misdiagnoses, and especially in the emergency room where they miss heart disease in women because it presents differently.
Yes, I was
And
gonna mention this too.
yeah, it's so terrible. So we don't have the Hollywood heart attack, we women, where you
Yep.
clutch and drop like on the TV show with the red-faced guy with the tie clutching his neck. You can have nausea, indigestion, vomiting. There are these other symptoms that just are not the typical. And so we need to be, when you feel something's wrong, when you just know it's not you, it's not right, your kid's not right, push for it. Be the jerk that day, because your life or your kid's life may depend on it.
Yeah. That's something too they wanted to put me on so after that, they wanted to put me on, birth control because they did my levels and they said, "Oh, it's a miracle you're even getting your period because 'cause you're in perimenopause, definitely menopause based on these levels." I don't know exactly what they tested, I would have to look. And then she wanted to put me on birth control, but I had such a horrific reaction to birth control in my childhood in, like, my teen years that I never really took it. I was married, I tried taking it, it made me crazy. I went off of it again with my first husband and just never reacted well to it, and I was like, I don't wanna do this." And again, thank God I listened to my gut instinct because then I got pregnant naturally with
Oh,
my daughter,
good.
and had I been taken the birth control, I might not have. So it was like
Oh,
another thing where I just listened to my gut instinct, and I was like, "I wanna do more research into this," because it seems like they were worried about my bone density loss, and I'm like, "Well, surely there's other ways that I can manage this other than at
oh,
42 years old going on birth control for the rest of my life
oh,
now."
absolutely. I heard so much. Okay, this is what happens. I'm like this sort of like medical lie detector. I will hear a doctor telling me something or a person telling me about their care, and I hear you saying, they said, "Oh, your levels are perimenopausal or menopausal." You can't test estrogen in perimenopause and have it mean anything because it's pulsatile. It goes up, it changes every 20 minutes or more. So they don't
Wow.
test that. All these companies, sorry, am I allowed to say bad words?
Yes.
Okay, these bullshit companies, Everlywell is one. There are many that I just use as an example in the book, but there are many of these. Oh, well, test this is a perimenopause test. Well, it's meaningless. Don't waste your money. The way you know if you're in perimenopause, oh, and the science in this, there's this big workshop and they came up with how you tell, and they're wrong. I mean, this is why when people say do your own research, you really can't, because you have to know physiology very well, and then you also have to know
Mhm.
a broad base in the field. And so this is the standards for wait, is it reproductive aging workshop? Yes, that's what it is. I confuse straw and swan. Medical acronyms are the stupidest. They're really terrible.
Yeah.
So anyway, straw, they say you're in perimenopause when your periods start becoming irregular. Well, yeah, but this endocrinologist who's just fiercely scientific, Geraldine Pryor, MD, she's at UBC, she's a clinician and a researcher. She has made it her life's work to have perimenopause recognized correctly as a unique hormonal state it is, and also to have progesterone recognized for being the hormone that goes missing, what happens to it, and what we need, and not the drug that they give at many, probably still the main drug they give, medroxyprogesterone acetate, which is a synthetic progesterone knockoff that binds with the wrong receptor in the breast, can increase your breast cancer risk, is harmful in your brain and harmful cardiovascularly. And so, they're giving this. Doctors don't know because none are menopause experts or perimenopause experts. So what Pryor says, and she's right, and this is very important, is that women before their periods get to be irregular, and irregular means a variable length, so more than 7 days difference from one period's length to the next. That's the straw standard. But you have symptoms that where you have changes in your body that go on that are important before this happens. And if you have this, these mystery changes, it's very frightening. I think I think I've put them here. I have a list of them. There are 9 changes. And if you have if you have, let's see, it's 3 of these. If you have regular menstrual cycles, about a month apart, but you have new onset of heavier and longer menstrual flow, shorter menstrual cycle lengths, 25 days or fewer days between periods, breasts that are newly more sore, swollen, or lumpy, new increased menstrual cramps, markedly increased, waking up mid-sleep when that wasn't an issue, night sweats, especially around menstrual flow, migraines, more frequent migraines or more migraines or having them at all, and then newer, more frequent premenstrual mood swings, and then notable weight gain without changes in your food intake. So if you have 3 of those, this says, okay, you're in perimenopause. And this is important so you know what's wrong with you. So you're not wrong with you, but you know what's going on with your body, because women will go for diagnoses. Well, I have to figure out what's wrong. And Pryor says women go for diagnoses like fibromyalgia or other things where they end up taking drugs they don't need, and then they're not dealing with the actual problem. Because if you are very symptomatic in perimenopause, chances are it's because you are not ovulating and not making progesterone. And you won't know that you're not ovulating because those periods seem the same as all the other periods. But what happens is you don't make enough progesterone. That's the hormone of the second part of the menstrual cycle, estrogen's partner hormone. And this is very important. It helps you sleep and stay mentally well. And the title of the book, Going Menopostal, this is for two reasons. One is the inexplicable rages that some of us experience. I was just this hate bitch. I didn't know why. I was wired and angry constantly. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a nice person. I like people. I like dads like my dad who would fix things in the basement. My grandpa liked that too. So I'm in the hardware store. Some guy's behind me. And I look, he's like my dad, my dad archetype. Only he starts humming. I want to find the heaviest object. I want to murder this man, like bludgeon him to death. And then I'm so ashamed. I mean, like, who is this person who thinks he's like evil, the horrible, the guy's humming. Normally I would think that was nice. My dad hummed. So, this is the thing that goes on, and you feel this shame at the terrible, mean person you become, mean to your husband, mean,
Mhm.
to your coworkers, just nasty. And if you know, oh, this is a symptom of perimenopause and I'm not ovulating, which you can actually figure out. This is the way you meaningfully figure out whether you're in perimenopause. And I guarantee you the doctor was not saying to do this. And this is from Pryor, but it's from research from this guy, Rudy Wallman, in the 70s in Switzerland, where he found out that, when you're making progesterone, your temperature rises. And so you want to see, do I have this temperature rise for a certain number of days? Because then I'm making adequate progesterone. And if I don't, I'm not. And this is not using the BBT basal temperature apps on phones, because guess what? They're wrong. All these women who are trying to get pregnant, they're based on a 28-day menstrual cycle. That's not right. So they're steering them straight. It's hideous. I write about this in the book. And so what you do is you take your temperature every day with a digital thermometer. I have the directions in Going Menopostal. It's pretty easy. You log that every day. It's before you get out of bed. Don't drink anything first. Just log that. And then you'll see, am I ovulating? You do it ideally for a few months. And then this is legitimate medical data you can bring to your doctor. Because I lay out the science in the book and I say, look, you can tell your doctor, here's the science. I want this evidence-based care. You can screenshot stuff from the book, print it out, whatever, give it to your doctor so they have it there, because they're going to feel threatened doing something that they don't know about. But then by giving them this data, you have a fail-safe. They can't deny you, if you're not sleeping, for example. That's the best thing to say, actually. I am not encouraging anyone to lie, but you're probably not sleeping if you have these, the not making enough progesterone. to say, I'm
Mhm.
not sleeping. Don't I get to sleep? Progesterone is the one drug that meaningfully helps sleep. And this is a drug, it's a hormone in our body. And the kind I advocate in the book is oral micronized progesterone, FDA approved, same molecularly as the progesterone in your body, which, by the way, goes up to 10 times the amount in a period when you're pregnant. So obviously this is not killing women. It's a healthy hormone. It has fewer side effects than aspirin. The only women who can't take it, if you have a serious disease, you should look at it. But liver ascites, which is fluid in the liver, or if you have very low blood pressure, progesterone is very healthy. It lowers your blood pressure, speeds up your breathing when you sleep, unlike benzodiazepines, but yet it helps you sleep. So if you have low blood pressure, you might need to, you might not be able to take it. But look at that with your doctor and see one ideally who you can bring the progesterone data to and say, this is what I need to take, and can I take this with my blood pressure?
Where and a doctor can prescribe it?
Oh, yeah.
And do you take testosterone with
However,
this too?
oh, well, so let me get to that. But with progesterone, here's the problem in America. So our medicine is not, it's supposedly evidence-based. It is anything but. Much of the
Mhm.
prescribing is done based on clinical habit. So here in America, they give 100 or 200 milligrams of oral micronized progesterone. Why? No reason. Not like they tested it against 300 and said this is better. They did nothing of the sort. Now in France, they've been taking this since 1980, 300
Wow.
milligrams or even more. Um, and 300 is really important because you don't know how you metabolize steroid hormones. And it's important that you have this amount because this is safe, it's not harmful, because you need this to protect both your breasts and your endometrium, which is your uterine lining, from cancer, because progesterone is an estrogen wrangler. Now, estrogen's not bad, but they're partner hormones. So estrogen can cause cell overgrowth in the breast.
Mhm.
And what's important about progesterone in the breast, it causes breast cells to differentiate, so to specialize as breast cells. These are generic cells, and it gives them a job to do. Well, when they're breast cells, they can't go around like delinquents, widely doubling into cancer, wildly doubling. And then in the endometrium, also, it prevents what's called hyperplasia, which is cell overgrowth. You don't want this. That can turn into cancer. And so doctors, by giving women this amount that they just give because everybody, this is what they give, so terrible. They are putting women at risk. And so, oh, Amy Dressner, my beloved Amy
Mhm.
Dressner, who wrote My
Mhm.
Fair Junkie. So she worked for me. She accused me of trying to give her a brain bleed editing this book. She edited the whole first half of the book. So she knows very well about the science in this area. And she wanted to get 300 milligrams of oral micronized progesterone from her doctor. Her doctor refused and refused. Amy knew she needed this. What's crazy, Amy, she's sober and wonderful and everything, but she joked that she could go to a Jack in the Box if some guy bring her anything, like in some like 87 Honda, like Molly or any kind of drug, but she couldn't get this FDA approved drug made of yams. It's the amount she needed to stop her symptoms and be safe. And so what she did was go on telemedicine now, and without telling her insurance, because then they'll know that you're taking the extra 100 milligrams. But she needed this to be safe. How crazy. You have to do this renegade thing, pay for it yourself. So the story is she orders this and she gets it. And she texts me a picture and I say, who made that? And it was from India. And I said, Amy, I'm so sorry. Do not ever take Indian generics. You have to figure out where the progesterone is coming from that somebody's providing, and only get it if it's made in the US or someplace safe, not China or India. Horrible, horrible, contamination and problems in that industry. So she ended up doing that, and that helped her symptoms. And this is what's necessary, and like, I shouldn't have to write this book. I wrote this because I fought for and got the 300 milligrams of oral micronized progesterone. I got it covered. I got the amount I need. I had to fight 3 huge battles. Now I did this armed with like a ton of science, and fighting the way I do. Now most people, they're not going to be able to do this. They can't read the science at the level I do. They don't know, oh, this study lacks a control group. All these things you have to know to evaluate science. So they're not going to be able to do that. I mean, this is terrible. And so when I did this, Kaiser was giving medroxyprogesterone acetate as the standard on their formulary because Doctors and researchers, so awful. They both confuse them. They believe that they are the same. And when you see
Mm.
things about progesterone causing cancer, it absolutely does not. It protects you from cancer. It is not carcinogenic, but this is from all this research where they mixed up oral micronized progesterone, the hormone in your body, and this awful synthetic drug that they gave out in the horrible Women's Health Initiative study. And it is the drug you don't want to take if you like your brain, if you like your cardiovascular system, don't want to have heart attacks, don't want breast cancer. It's really terrible that they give this. So, this is the sort of thing that goes on. So I do this, and then because I'm a naive idiot sat from Michigan, I say like, well, okay, I showed you the science. You see that this is warranted. Will you give it to all your female patients? Oh my God, that's a spider. Hi. Did you see that? It
Yeah.
just flew across. I thought, is that a bird? Anyway, sorry about that. So I said, will you give this to all your female patients rather than this horrible drug that elevates cancer risk? They're like, no. And so for me, this is not moral to like, I get the drug, I get to be healthy and helped. And then it's like being across the street and watching women walk into an open manhole and saying nothing. So I had to
Mhm.
write this book because it was not moral to not write it. And because I can go through the science in this big, big nerdy level and tell women all this stuff, about each area. You're asking about testosterone. That's another area, and then estrogen and menopause, which by the way is safe and healthy and protective if you take it right after you go into menopause, which is 12 months without a period. And that if you take this as a healthy woman who does not have plaque buildup and disease, then if you initiate it then, chances are you can continue it throughout your lifespan. And the reason that is important, and I say this as a person who thought estrogen was Satan and read the research and saw I was wrong, and a person who is very conservative about ever taking a drug, this is necessary to protect you because if you're 79 or so, that's when you break bones. You want to be taking estrogen then. And doctors used to say, and some who are unscientific still say, you should taper at 60. If you taper off estrogen at 60, which is extremely powerful for bone health, but you were given the idea of like take birth control. I mean, they should have told you to lift some weights, not take birth control. It's egregious, and get enough protein.
Mhm.
There are ways I can talk to you about that, but so that you need to take this right then and then be monitored. And then if you're taking it at 70, you're protected. But if you stop at 60, what happens is you reverse the gains in bones. You go backward a bit, and then you're just not protected throughout the rest of your life. So you have all those years to have your bones decline. And there are things you can do. Not everybody wants to take hormones. You can eat a diet with sufficient protein, sufficient fat, and do weight bearing, slow speed weight training. I talk about in the book this specific kind. I'm a lazy hedonistic pig, you know me. So I'm not going to go to the gym, wear Lululemon, and go. And they're mean here in the LA. I'm really uncoordinated. I have ADHD, and my doctor will say, "Raise your right hand." I have to think about it. I'm somehow really slow, physically slow. So, I can't do those yoga classes and don't like them, and they're not that great for your bones. What's great is to do slow speed weight training. I do a single set a day with weights heavy for me where I can only do 10 reps. I do 5 seconds up and 5 down. You want to do bilaterally. So both arms. Is not safe to do just one. And you don't do pumping iron, that fast thing, you can get injured. And then when you can no longer do another rep with good form and you start to squirm, you're done. But you need to do it until your muscles are screaming. It's called muscle failure, because then the next day, over the period of time, you're building muscle and quality bone. What you do for muscle, you do for bone. So when you
Mm.
say, how do you have healthy bones? You like, what do I have, like little workmen go in there? No, you work your muscles and then it's transmitted. And muscles and bones are metabolically active. This means that things like insulin resistance and inflammation, big problems from eating a diet that is, where you eat a standard American diet with carbs, that eventually you get a broken insulin response. Most people do in older age, and inflammation is called inflammaging. We have chronic low-grade inflammation, and then your immune system is not able, when it's called out to deal with an injury or infection, it's pooped out. And this is
Yeah.
this is the medical care we're getting, and it's just obscene and egregious. And it's why I wrote Going Menopostal, because somebody needs to tell women this stuff, and it's obscene that nobody is.
Look, guys, most of us struggle with weight loss. It's a very common problem. But if you truly want to lose weight in a way that is healthy for your body and get strong at the same time, nothing beats the Caliber app. The Caliber app is 100% free to get started with the ability to upgrade to unlock more features or add a coach for one on one support. The free version of the app provides full ad free access to the app's features, including over 500 exercises, workout tracking, and the ability to create custom exercises. From there, you can upgrade to Caliber Pro, which includes group coaching, or you can upgrade to Caliber Premium, which includes one on one coaching. I've said it before, but Caliber has been life changing for me. Caliber makes weight and strength training simple and easy. The fact that I'm even doing it is a miracle. It was always so overwhelming and intimidating to me, and Caliber makes it so easy to get started. It gives you step by step instructions and even videos showing how to correctly perform the moves. So go check out the Caliber app today. Go to caliberstrong.com/Phetasy to see if any of their versions is right for you. That's caliberstrong.com/Phetasy to get started and get strong. The link is in the description below. Yeah, it does seem like there's just, you hear like get 10,000 steps and do weights and go eat 100 million grams of protein. And now I
Well,
think
some
there's a
of it's
lot more.
good.
So if these places, how would you know what to take in terms of estrogen or progesterone or testosterone
Oh, I
if
can
you
get to that. I
didn't?
just want to, can I stop you for a second? You said the 10,000 steps. I want to say this. Kaiser Permanente, my provider, and all these places, people say, oh, walk to help your bones. Unless you are carrying an elephant, you're not helping your bones. Sorry to
Right.
yell. Because you need to have weight on your bones. You need to stress them. That's why you do weights that are very heavy, that are heavy for you, which for me, I'm like Barbie's, I lift weights that are like a little bigger than Barbie sized. My friend Catherine Solomon lifts these like car tires, but that's okay. I have muscles. I'm not a like a fierce person that physically. So anyway, this is all this stuff, and you need to eat sufficient protein, which is 1.2 grams of protein per kilograms of body weight. The US government says to eat zero point 0.8. That's wrong. That's not going to help your bones. If you don't have sufficient protein, you could eat the contents of an entire dairy and it will not manifest in your bones. And calcium, by the way, don't take calcium. It's very unhealthy. The idea from Big Vitamin that you need 1,500 milligrams a day is ludicrous. The research, even Walter Willett, who is a meat hater at Harvard, even Willett comes out with, along with the people who did ancestral research, Mel Connor and, oh, I forget the other guy, where they show it looks like we need maybe 500 milligrams of calcium, maybe 700, but you get that from your diet. If you eat fish, if you eat, all sorts of food of calcium, and you can use myfooddata.com. Go there and you can look up, you can, it's better if you log in because you can build a profile for yourself. And of course, everyone, our privacy was eaten like 1998. So I never worry about stuff like that because like it's gone.
Yeah.
So,
So gone.
but that way you can see, you put in your diet and see like, here are the things I eat, and then look and see how much protein am I getting in a day. And, you can eat certain things, it's hard for some women to eat a lot of protein, but meat provides the perfect nutrients in the perfect amount, the amino acids. That's one thing. Herring, I eat smoked herring. It has like 18 grams of protein per tin. Collagen hydrolysate, which if you're vegetarian, that's from a cow. So that's not that good if you're vegetarian. But the problem with being a vegetarian is that the proteins, they aren't metabolized very well into our bodies. And then you're not getting complete protein, and it's hard. And you can take some supplements and things, same as I do, because I eat a carnivore diet, so I have to take manganese and some other things, methylfolate, that I'm not getting, to make sure I'm not getting malnourished. I take vitamin B12, and so those are some things that you have to do if you're doing that. But if you get the protein, 1.2 grams, this will help you have bone health, along with their three main supplements: magnesium, vitamin K2, and then vitamin D. And you should get your D level tested to see that you have adequate D. And adequate D is not what they say. It shouldn't be 30. It should be like between 50 and 60. And this is based on research I put in the book from Robert Heaney and others. And you're not getting, it's not an overdose at that level. All of this, there's so much scarism out there, and from people who don't know the science. And then there are like 1,000 internet charlatans now on Twitter. I have to stop myself because I see these threads and they say things like about dopamine rush. And I want to just like spend my morning saying, okay, dopamine's a hormone of seeking and wanting. It's not liking. This is Barrage's research and this is wrong. And no, you can't decrease your dopamine because it's a hormone in your brain. It's not like you can
Right.
go in there and like turn off a spigot. It's all crazy. And just, we can have discipline without going through this like bullshitology from these charlatans who usually have a vitamin to sell you at the end. This is always key, whether someone's giving you advice because, and I'm selling a book, but believe me, 8 years writing a book, living off my savings. I love the idea like you're getting rich writing books. Let me know when I become Stephen King so I can buy a mansion instead of like having to tell the electric company that like I need another 3 months to pay the rest of my bill. So,
What do you think
eh,
about, like, the peptides and everything?
what do you mean peptides? So
Like,
proteins?
now everybody's taking, like, peptides with, like, different specific peptides, peptides for this thing or that thing, or they have m more specified peptides, not just the ones that are weight loss, but now they have, like, it seems like a peptide for everything. You can put collagen peptides in your coffee, you can put them in,
Well, so collagen peptides just I think peptide means protein. It's I can't quite recall. Sorry, the hollow brain. Oh, my spider's up there. Sorry, I get a little distracted by it. I'm going to call him Sam or something. That's a little boring. The collagen's great to take because it has protein and has these amino acids. So there are reasons for that.
got
But
it.
to take all these vitamins, they're often just expensive and and they're often unhealthy things. They're often things that don't belong together in them. There's a site called Consumer Lab that's a pay site that I belong to because they do independent testing. They send out supplements and they will tell you it's a good site where they tell you, look, this is warranted by research, this is dangerous. So that's a place because you cannot, this idea, do your own research. You can't
Yeah.
because you don't know, there's so much in a field that's, you need to know the history and that, oh, wait, this is an error that's been built, it's been baked into the research, like calling confusing medroxyprogesterone acetate and progesterone, which by the way, the guy who discovered basically like they got progesterone to work. They in the I think it was like the 30s, that he first announced this, like, no, stop doing this, and there have been periodically scientists in the literature who keep saying don't confuse these, it's wrong, and it's harmful, medically harmful to women. So this is stuff that goes on, and that's why you need to have this deep background or you're not going to know. And basically, once people start taking a bazillion supplements, they often they'll start that and they won't keep it up. It's very hard for many people to do that. I like the little pill things, but there are certain things you need: K2, magnesium, vitamin D. These are really important. And then you can take other things if you are likely to be deficient in them, but I would be really careful because a lot of them are not validated and you find out that they're harmful. And so use Consumer Lab, but all these peptide things, this is a way for people to, like claim they're doing something when, the way to be healthy, it's actually pretty simple. And it is to eat a low carb or carnivore diet and to do this kind of exercise, have sleep hygiene. If you're not sleeping, work on your sleep, and it is not, I take trazodone now in menopause. So perimenopause, oh my God, progesterone saved me. I was waking up after being an Olympic sleeper. So before perimenopause, my whole life, it was like someone hit me with a large frying pan at 11 and I would wake up at 6 always. And you could launch a nuclear warhead into my living room, and if the dog didn't bark, I wouldn't know. And then 5 or 6 times a night thrashing, trying any sort of voodoo, like if I place my body this way, if I just make my feet warm, if I make my feet cold, nothing worked. And then I took progesterone. That was the problem. I was missing progesterone. I was not ovulating. So I took progesterone, saved me. But then in menopause, the sleep went to shit again. And I have the only evidence-based doctor I have is my psychiatrist. I love him. So what we did is I tested different sleep drugs. I did not want to take Ambien. These drugs are sedatives. They're terrible cognitively.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my brain, be drooling at 80, from drug caused, dementia or something. I don't,
Yeah.
so what
I
I
know
ended up doing,
I have know so many women who have been on Ambien since they were in their 20s.
having it sedate you, it's terrible. Matthew Walker, I quote him in the book on trazodone. He's a sleep scientist I respect, and he says a bunch of nice things about it. And what this is, so trazodone is an anti-anxiety drug taken
Yeah.
off label for sleep. And so I didn't have any of that. I looked at what are the adverse effects. Always important to prioritize that. We are optimistic. We're optimistically biased, we humans. So we want to believe, oh, it'll be wonderful. So what you want to do is tell yourself, no, it's going to suck and I'm going to die. And here's how, and look for
Right.
that. And so for me, the only worry was something called angle closure glaucoma. And I went to my eye doctor and he said, I don't have it. And he said it's rare and they get maybe one person a year with it. So because of that, I thought, okay, I'll take this. And it's been really just a lifesaver because my prejudice really from childhood from my parents against taking drugs, what is outweighed is my need to not be sick during the day, brain fog. It is extremely unhealthy to not sleep for multiple systems in your body, for mitochondria. And so the trade-off, that's what I look at as trade-offs. The trade-off for me to take trazodone, I have very little, there's very little negative about it. And for me to sleep like this, I mean, it's vital. One thing that doesn't happen if you're not sleeping that's really important is that your brain during the day, it's so big in your head, especially if you have a giant head. It's so big in your head that you can't get cerebral spinal fluid through, which is the, cleansing fluid of the brain. And at night, if you get adequate deep sleep, your brain shrinks in your skull, and so that can wash through. I think of it like, a teenage boy's backseat of their car with like Taco Bell wrappers and stuff, like that gets washed out. This is research by Megan Niergaard, really cool, amazing neuroscientist. It's called the glymphatic system. And so this is why sleep, I mean, there's so many problems without it. It is just the most vital thing. So the trade-off of taking a drug, try not to take Ambien or these benzodiazepines. Oh, there's something new called orexin receptor antagonists. And I never ended up, I got one, you can get a free sample from the company. My doctor prescribed it, but they were very expensive. And I didn't know if he'd be able to get me some kind of like cost waiver or something. And he does so much, so I didn't want to ask him to do that since the trazodone worked. Although going to, taking the different, I had to get the different drugs prescribed. I go to Costco. The guy says, oh my God, you can't take all of these. And I said, I know. My psychiatrist and I are running a test. I'm the antithesis of a drug seeker. I'm a drug denier,
Yeah,
basically at
exactly.
core, and so, he had to call my psychiatrist. He would only give me two at a time. I was
Yeah.
like, and I had to walk there. I don't have a car because believe me, and you get really poor writing a book. Everything was just put toward this book. So no car, nothing. I have to walk to Costco through the fumes on Lincoln Boulevard. I was really angry. And he'd call my psychiatrist each time. The guy would say like, yes, give her the drug, please. You know, yeah, thanks. The nanny state comes to Costco. So
Yep.
anyway, sorry, brief rant.
Nanny states everywhere.
I know, and
So I hate sleep. I'm one of those
you
people
hate
that's like,
sleep.
I've never liked it. It's a struggle for me. I feel bad. I think my young daughter has it too. She sleeps all right, but I just have, it's never been something I'm like, "Haven't we figured out how to, like, evolve out of this yet? Like, why do we need so much of this?" I've never
Oh,
just been
I'm
one of
going to
those
help
people
you.
that's like, "I love sleep," and I know how good it is for you and all, like, you can tell me all the great benefits of it, and I still think it's a waste of time.
I have a thing for you, which is that taking creatine, I take 7.5 milligrams in just a glass of water in the morning. That seems to decrease your need for sleep. It has substantially decreased mine. It's really kind of wild. And this is healthy for you on a number of levels, creatine. And so that's a way you can help yourself. But creatine, you need to drink it, not put it in hot liquid and not let it just sit there because it can degrade. So I just drink this in the morning, take my vitamins, with it, and then, I'm off for the day. So with sleep, I thought I understood something you were saying about this because I actually am so excited by stuff in life, reading and ideas and everything and
Yeah.
Twitter and just my life that I don't want to go to bed because I'm stopping my life. And so this is something I go to bed too late because of this, because I'm doing or reading or whatever. And so I sort of maybe share that with you where it's just like, come
And
on.
often it's, like, the only time I have where it's not the day, there's not somebody, it's like you you don't have anyone who needs you. I could maybe find this in the morning, but I do comedy, so my biorhythms are already completely fucked. Like it's such I've been a night owl my whole entire life, so it's definitely something that I like always hear about the big 3, and my husband's much more he has just much better sleep hygiene that I've probably messed up for him, but he yeah, I hear a lot about it, and I still I know I should do something about it, and I just don't care. I'm like, I know that
No,
it's hard to
okay, so this is
explain. Like, I know it's
perimenopause.
bad for me that I don't get enough sleep, and I don't care. It's not it's a little alcoholic, I guess.
Well, no, here's what happens. So perimenopause, your body's, there's some things, especially if you're very symptomatic like me, there's some things that really just like go downhill all at once and you're just feeling broken. But you're still the sort of robust person that you were before. And then in menopause, oh my God, suddenly like
Catches up.
everything just goes to shit, and
Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, you don't heal as fast, and everything's just worse. And so what happens is, you become more serious about taking care of yourself and being disciplined in those ways. For example, I have an eye disease that it's called Fuchs dystrophy, and you better believe I call it fuck you dystrophy. And I had to get a corneal endothelium transplant. So this is oh, I forgot to not show my gross nails. Um, so corneal endothelium transplant. This is a 1 cell layer over your cornea that's like the plumber of the eye. And you have an endothelium in your arteries also. That's the part that collects the plaque. And
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
so this is a miraculous thing. And that's why I'm an organ donor. I cried when she told me I would get donated tissue, which is wonderful. But so this needs to heal. And so I thought, okay, guess what? We're going SWAT team on all inflammation. And I cut out bacon and pork rinds. I'm a Jew from Michigan. I eat like I'm from Appalachia. I
Uh-huh.
love pork rinds. They're the greatest food. And so I hid them. They're 2 big jars still in my kitchen. It's bad. I know where they are. I just talked about it. But I did this because I needed to eat as low inflammation as possible. And the same thing with sleep, that I now, writing the book, I was the biggest night owl. I'd stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning because I'd be on some problem and think like, I have to get the answer just around the corner. If I just put together this science, that science, and so I would stay up and then I would use the trazodone to sleep. But now I have your cortisol. I actually got medically harmed by the drugs she gave me in this from the transplant. It was really sort of horrible. I didn't have time to read. I'd do something for the book till like the last second before I fell on the gurney. And normally I'd read the science, but she's a surgeon. I can tell she's excellent from what her colleagues say and from the way she talked. She's an elite, eye surgeon, but they don't know this is medicine. The doctors who do the eye surgery literally like they know less about the drugs they prescribe than the average smart person who reads in the waiting room. And this
Mhm.
doctor, so in the field they prescribe 8 drops of steroids for your I'm sorry, 4 drops. And why did they test like 3 and 2? No, they just, this is clinical habit. Once again, it's terrible. So she figures, and she's smart, she went to Yale and everything, she figures if 4 drops is good, 8 drops is better. Well, I'm a metabolically extremely healthy patient, low inflammation. My triglycerides are 30. My BP is 99 over 62. I'm really healthy. And if you give me that sort of steroid overdose, you suppress any sort of natural healing. You suppress my mitochondria. There's a thing called your sodium, potassium, potassium, sodium, ATPase pump, and suppress that. And so she really did a number of me, and I actually got adrenal problems where I was really sick, tachycardia, bradycardia every day. I fainted. I dropped like a rock on my bathroom floor from the blood pressure crashing from this. And so
Mhm.
I've largely corrected this now, but it went on for 3 months and I couldn't work. I was sick all day. I mean, this is terrible. I didn't even tell her because why? She doesn't know. She'll just feel bad. I need her to not feel bad while she's doing my second eye, and
Yeah.
but I know. And so I had her change me. I had her lower the dose, give me another kind. Oh, and then the steroids and the antibiotics that they prescribe to all these patients who have these really serious corneal surgeries, they have back preservatives. They're about to ban these in Europe. They begin to erode your corneal epithelium in a matter of days. They increase your, dry eye. They're really terrible. And so the one that they prescribe, it's called afloxacin. I read
Mhm.
in between her doing the transplant and then having to do a second procedure because of the way my immune system got suppressed. I have a week. I spend that week, I read everything in the field and I'm just horrified. And so I find, oh, moxifloxacin has broader spectrum protection as an antibiotic. It has no preservatives. Can we change me to that? Oh, okay. I mean, but the doctors don't know. They
Right,
need
right,
and so at Kaiser, someplace like that, they need a steroid expert, someone who knows steroids and cognitive and neuroscience, and that your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, that this is involved, in that you're, how you damage it with an overdose of steroids. She knows none of this.
right.
And this is every area of medicine, and there needs to be somebody. My friends Nina Teicholz, Gary Taubes wrote books on low carb. This needs to be done for every single area of medicine. I have an osteoporosis book as my next book, that and because that's needed. But I have a chapter on that here that tells a lot of the stuff because it's just egregious there. They turned a risk factor into disease so they could give women drugs that make your bones brittle and microcracked in 3 years. They don't help you,
Wow.
they harm you, and they don't give you quality bone. This idea of bone density, that's how much bone stuff you have in a square measurement, in square like area of measurement. Well, okay, how do the drugs increase your bone density? Bone density, by the way, it doesn't mean if you have high bone density or low. It does not ensure you will break bones or not break bones. So what they do with these drugs is they retain the old crappy cells. They don't allow the old crappy past their prime cells to be removed. And so that's how your bone's dense. It's filled with like sawdust, basically. So this is not healthy quality bone that is strong and resilient, where if you fall at 75, your bones are elastic enough that they're not going to just fracture. And
Right.
this is really important. And the weight bearing exercise like this, doing one set a day. I do 16 minutes. Look at me. I'm like, I've got muscles. 16
Yeah.
minutes of weight work a week, and that's all. And I'm a lazy hedonistic pig who eats grease all day. I buy beef chuck because it's really fatty. I love it.
I do love beef chuck too.
Oh, it's
Yeah, there's
wonderful.
so much to cover. It's like I think most women don't know where to start and they don't it gets very overwhelming at any phase really of your life, but particularly once you enter into like the perimenopause. Let's call it perimenopause. Once you enter into that, it's just like it feels a little bit like the Wild West, and now you're just something that everyone is like advertising, products to. I think they've seen that there's a market
Oh
for
yeah.
all
Utter.
the stuff, like
Oh
the like, I go on Instagram, it's like the 10 billion things that women are taking and doing and putting on their face, and they're like, "I need to put this on, and this is my routine, and then I do this, and collagen in my coffee and peptides." I'm like, "I don't do anything. I don't do anything. I
no.
literally do
Okay.
nothing. I don't
No.
even blow
This is
dry my
it's
hair."
awful. No, and see, and so yeah, join the cloud and pulled it back. So this is the horrible thing that goes on. What I've done is given people, look, here's how you live, doing
Like,
like the
what is your
minimum
day
stuff you need
like?
to do.
What's your morning what does
Oh,
your an average day look
wait,
like
there
for
was
you?
something I wanted to. Oh, I just have to say this because you reminded me of this. I want to tell women this because so I think I was saying what I did is lay out like here's how you do all this stuff like for perimenopause, but diet, lifestyle. But the important thing, one of the things they say in the book is do not use progesterone or estrogen cream. These are from the wild, wild west. They're not tested, regulated, or anything. You don't know what you're getting. And also, very importantly, progesterone cream does not protect your endometrium and breasts. So you're taking this, you're really not doing anything for yourself, and it's advised people do that because the doctors, don't know. So women, it's natural. They try to help each other. So my day, okay. So I wake up
And do
and
you take
I do.
do you recommend testosterone?
Oh, so well, that's another. Well, let me just say, do all three. So progesterone, oral micronized progesterone in perimenopause. What doctors don't know about perimenopause is that this stage is not. Doctors believe it to be this decline in estrogen, like sand in an hourglass. This is
Right.
not the case, especially for very symptomatic women. Estrogen spikes and dives, and those dives of estrogens cause a bolt of stress hormones to come out. This is very unhealthy. This is why it's important to take progesterone. It's also protective of your cardiovascular system and bones. You do not take estrogen perimenopause. Some women might be able to take it at the very end, but Gerald Pryor, the endocrinologist, rightfully advises against this. What you need is to find out, are you ovulating? Are you not ovulating regularly? Progesterone, and I give dosage, like how to take it cyclically or how to take it daily. Like if you have migraines, you need to take it daily, and there may be problems initially. But so, this is very important in perimenopause. So menopause, estrogen, you want to take transdermal. This is skin patch estrogen. I have it on my butt because my body tosses out a large amount of the estrogen I take. Eating a carnivore diet, I have something called high sex hormone binding globulin. You can hear it, sex hormone binding. It binds with steroid hormones, locks them up, and just throws them out. So I get
Mm.
less than half of the steroids I take, and I had to go through a big battle with Kaiser. They said, "Oh, you want a super physiologic dose?" No, because I have SHBG that's very high. It's 202, which is like out in the stratosphere. Plus, I had a pharmacogenetics done, which is how your genes react, how your drugs react based on your genes. And
Oh,
I am
yeah.
a rapid metabolizer of the CYP3A4 enzyme, not fast metabolite, rapid. What this means, I get half the steroid hormones I take. So I've already got two things competing. And then I take modafinil for my ADHD, and that tanks active estradiol 11 to 18%. And so, I wanted to get, so because I take estrogen, I get less than half the dose. I want to take two, like a double dose, so I get the normal dose. But
Right.
these doctors, I mean, they wouldn't prescribe this. I had to get a doctor in San Juan Capistrano. There were 10 doctors in Los Angeles who refused to give it to me. And I said, okay, here are these, here are these data. And then plus, you don't normally test estrogen, but I test it to get a baseline in menopause to see where it is. I'm getting half the pharmaceutical minimum for the drug I'm taking, Climera. I get a Climera patch, which you change once a week, and I don't even get half. I was at and I tested it right after the day I put it on. You're supposed to, test it in the middle of the week or something, and I had my level is 45, and the pharmaceutical minimum is 71. And then there's a max
Mm.
and an average. You don't even bother to go near those. And so I had hot flashes. And also, you need to be taking enough, a therapeutic amount for your bones and breasts and your brain. And we don't quite know what that is, but chances are that to have the low level, 40 is nearly just menopause without it. It's sort of close to it. That's not good. And so I finally get it. I mean, this is just horrible. So you take the transdermal kind, and probably most women should start like with an 0.035 dose. It's 0.035 milligrams. And they have different brands and things. You can take a generic. And so anyway, so that's after menopause. And to take progesterone, even if you don't have a uterus, they won't prescribe it for you. They'll say, oh, you don't need it because you don't have a uterus. Well, you still have breasts, and progesterone, it's really important cardiovascularly and for much of your body. It's a very healthy thing to take. So you take that and
Mhm.
estrogen. And then about testosterone, this is very interesting. So when I wrote the book, they didn't have longitudinal research showing that it was safe, for breast cancer. So what you want to do, believe me, it's tempting. You want to just, oh, can I just take this and solve this? I have low free testosterone. It's important to get the free testosterone, not just the whole, just the main number tested, the total. So it's very, very low. And so, the taking testosterone, at first I wasn't doing that. I was taking something else to try to correct it, a supplement called DHEA. I wasn't helping myself, wasn't correcting it. And so I'm going to take testosterone now. I'm just getting a prescription for it. And I'll tell you actually the shit show of like our medical care. So what happened was I read the research, more recent research I looked, and there is longitudinal research showing that it not only is not harmful, breast cancer risk increasing, and then it might be that for one woman or someone somewhere, but this is what the research says, the generally speaking, and they found it to not be breast cancer risk increasing, and then also maybe even protective for the breast. And the same thing, not the cardiovascular, they still need to do more research, but I don't have risk in that area. And so and what the research they've done, there is some, I think that I would place the trade-off on taking it for myself because I had this malaise that I think is related. And you can have the only thing they prescribe it for. So this is very important. I do this in the back of the book. I tell you what they give estrogen for, and testosterone they will only prescribe for hypoactive sexual desire disorder. And what's amazing about this is that I've read that research for years and it doesn't seem to work for it. But if you want to get testosterone, I mean, the amazing thing is you need to say that this is the case for you. And I'm not encouraging people to lie, do what your values tell you to do. But this is what they prescribe it for, and they don't for other things.
What does that mean?
So
That it's just not active?
Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no. It just means that the FDA is really behind the times. Research is behind the times. No one's done sufficient research. The FDA does not have a drug that is approved for women. This is so horrible. So what Kaiser Permanente, my provider, does, and what they're not going to do for me because I intervened, they prescribe the male androgel for women, and women need a tiny, itsy bitsy bitsy dose compared to men. So the
Right.
male dose, it comes in a lotion packet. Well, how do you get the right amount out? Like what? Like, oh, if I just dip my finger, I mean, seriously, you're supposed to take exact dose of a drug every day. I mean, this is so egregious. Plus, men have skin that is 20 to 25% thicker than women's. They have more sebum, more oil. So the drug is not going to react the same way. You might get more or less than you should, or unstable doses.
So they'll
I mean,
only
is
give
this
testosterone to women if you're saying you're just not feeling sexual enough?
you have to have 6 months of distress. Like, I look up the standard because you gotta ask, so sometimes doctors will prescribe,
I
I know,
love that
right?
doctors are
It's
like,
off
"Your
label.
husband's not getting laid? Well, we'll give you some testosterone."
Well, maybe your relationship is disturbed and it's upsetting to you because you're not having orgasms, you just don't
But you can get
fantasize, you just don't
testosterone if you wanna, like, turn into a boy.
this is the amazing thing. If you're like, "Look, I think I'm a man," like,
You can't get
it's
it, though,
so
just as a woman
crazy.
who's low in testosterone.
It's so crazy. Before, the head of
Wow.
endocrinology would not prescribe it for me. So what I'm doing, this is a safe way to get it. I'm getting it through a compounding pharmacy that Kaiser uses. They don't normally use them. And I write about compounding pharmacies in the book. They are like fly by night, unsafe, crazy, except if you need to go to one, they're accredited pharmacies. It's really important to use accredited one, by the pharmaceutical societies. PCAB is one that's an accreditor, but there are others, and you'll see that in there that they're accredited,
W
and that's
Where do all
very,
the
very,
dudes
very
get their
important.
testosterone?
Well, they have an easier time of getting it from doctors than we do. The doctor's like, hey, I have low T, will you prescribe some? And then some people get it in ways like dark web or whatever, which I would not advise. Mexico, you really, no, you really have to be careful. It's so terrible, and then, you don't want to take too much too. So, it's like the dose. I'm getting I probably should get 4 milligrams. But I'm starting with what is it? I'm starting with 3. So I'm getting 2 doses. They're called oral syringes. They're not oral, but it gives you a precise amount of the cream. You want cream, not gel. We don't want the alcohol stuff for our skin. We need the cream. There's less likelihood of transferring, like that. Your little girl's going to grow a beard from like daddy's testosterone wiping off on her. I mean, that's crazy stuff. So I'm getting 0.1875 of the 2 milligram, or it's like 2%, 20 milligram dose. And then, so I'm getting 2 syringes a day because you want to take it twice in the day because of the, what's it called? The half-life, plasma half-life. And then, that's Kaiser, they have to like write a whole thing through the pharmacy to do that special order and everything. But I'm
Crazy.
not going to take the kind that's damaging to women, or they give you like, oh, our patients are so happy taking androgel. Well, great. Yeah, thanks. I'll pass on the goatee. I look like Wild Bill Hickok, by the way. If I once dressed up like that. It isn't
Yeah.
the worst thing, but still, I'll pass.
Wow. So, um, what tell me quick, like, what your daily routine looks like, and
Oh,
then we'll
okay.
wrap it up because I
Okay.
mean, we could
Oh,
go
I
on
could talk to
forever
you all
about this
day.
stuff. I know,
Yeah, I love this.
there's so
Um,
much.
so let's see. So I wake up and then
You
I
take your
will.
creatine?
Take the create. Oh yeah, thanks. So you want the whole thing. Take creatine, and then I take some supplements, and then I make coffee that is like break your tooth black and put some foaming huff and half in it. And then what do? Oh, I run on the porch for 10 minutes. I dance. Like I play. I'm from Motown. This is my ancestral homeland. And so I have a channel. I specifically created this channel, and not Marvin Gaye version, but Diana Ross, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I asked my phone to create that on Pandora. And this plays like the Four Tops, the
Yeah.
Temptations, all this music that so I'm dancing on my porch, people are walking past. And then I like to not have, the world be alienated and ugly like it is. So I'll yell at people like, hi, have a beautiful day. It's really nice. So do that for 10 minutes. And the reason I started doing this, it's actually very good for sleep and for health, but because of the overdose of steroids that I got, I needed to fix my circadian rhythm. My it's a hormone from your pituitary called ACTH, and
Mhm.
I won't even get into it. But I needed to fix that, and then my cortisol release, healthy cortisol release, and so that helps potentiate that. And so doing that's very important to get that first morning light in your eyes and your retinas. And then what else do I do? And then I will do a set of some kind of weightlifting. Um, the slow speed weightlifting, and then I'll run 10 minutes more at night. Now the reason I run is that I sit in this chair all day. I'm sedentary, so I'll get up and like move. I'll run for a minute really fast, because being sedentary every day, you're sedentary that you don't move at all. This is a day you get more inflamed. It promotes insulin resistance, so I'm very conscious of that. And then I eat some form of grease for breakfast. So I love to have beef chuck for breakfast. So
Mhm.
delicious. But today I was in a hurry, so I had a hamburger. I have them pre-made. I have the stuff all cooked. I cook on an induction plate in my porch, because I live in a 100-year-old house. It's rent controlled. So there's like this little sliver in the ceiling with a little piece of like mesh on it. So if I cook in my kitchen, it fills with these fumes, and I feel myself like, hello, glioma. I have a
Yeah.
brain tumor, so I just cook on my porch, and it's nice here in Venice. And so what I'll do is I'll make the whole like order of beef chuck that I get and put it in boxes, like bento type boxes in my refrigerator. And then I just heat one in the air fryer for 2 minutes, and then I eat it. So it's there because I need to not be like the food prep thing. I don't cook, I heat. Basically if it
Yeah.
takes two steps, like flop flop, and then what do? I start, I'll be on Twitter, and then I'll come just do my work at the computer. And this is my day. And then it's really important to have stuff that really lights you up. And I'm in this meetup group. I call it my extreme nerd meetup group every Wednesday. These guys, they're the geniuses of tech. My friend Quantum Jonathan drives me. There's a quantum physicist at Google, and I use his extreme skill when my lampshade tanks. Like, I have a quantum physicist emergency, and they're the greatest guys, and we have homework and we discuss it. So that's really important to me. They're all wonderful. They all help me with my book in every way, just the greatest people. We all help each other. This is a really nice group. And like they work at SpaceX and everything, and like half the group is Aspie. So this is an important thing. If you don't have that, like that social connection, that's part of, having a rich world and being happy and everything, and extending yourself for other people, which I do in the group. That's vital. So I do
Yeah.
that, and then I'm looking for an age appropriate man. So anybody who knows anyone, tall, masculine. I'm 61, and then really good character, and then the person who thinks, see, you could be my husband, except that you're you and I'm not a lesbian. You're married to someone else, and but it's this thing where they don't just accept the status quo, and they think about everything. So and if they're
Yeah.
not like that, yeah, no. And they need to not look like they're going to drop dead of a heart attack in 20 minutes, because when I'm out
And
with one of them, they send me texts afterwards. You're very sexy, but you have too much energy for me.
yeah, exactly. And then what do you do for, like, your skin routine?
Oh, this is the thing I was going to say. All this stuff about like you spend 300 a little bit of La Mer, blah blah blah. No, I wear Anthelios sunblock from France. This is the only thing I spend money on. My makeup is all wet and wild. Like
What's it called?
oh, it's called Anthelios, and don't buy it in the US. It's a waste of money. Anthelios. The new kind is 400, and I get people to bring this back for me from Canada or France because it's really expensive. And you want to get it's the XL kind with Mexoryl, the kind sold here. Our government protects us from being able to protect our skin the way they have in Europe for like a million years. This is the
Uh-huh.
only thing I do. I'm 61. Oh, some guy hit on me. He was 47 on Hinge, and I said, you do know I'm 61 years old, right? Because he liked my picture of me with no makeup on my porch. And he said, "Oh, you look so much younger." I don't have some secret. I just wore the sunblock for years, and then I missed right here, so I have a like big wrinkle there. It's bad. That's all. I did not go outside without it. That's all. And then I wear, for like, I don't have money right now. So I use the cheapest stuff. So Mario Badescu, I get it when it's on sale. The like hyaluronic acid eye cream, I get it for $13. I'm not going to spend like $20. Like Clinique, or not Clinique, like L'Oreal, like stuff in the drugstore is like $30. Who spends that amount
Yeah.
of money? And then I use, what's it called? Argan oil on my skin, or what else do I use? I'm not using like, I'm not using, oh, and then this like amlactin, which is really cheap. I found that from Emily Zanotti, who I love. She's a mom. She's like the greatest
Yep.
mom. You know, and so, that was from her. And so I spend like nothing on my skin. And it's just, you can't fix it once it's gone. All these things that people do, do some kind of like laser resurfacing maybe, but those things also that you see people like, oh, my skin was ruined, and so I just plan to age. Oh, I did get, so I got like the Jewish, sorry, I'm a Jew, so I can make Holocaust jokes. My eyelids fell. Like I took care of my skin, but my eyelids fell over my pupils. I'm not a plastic
Oh,
surgery type
did you
person.
get the bleh?
I had to get blepharoplasty, and then I had to get the forehead thing. And this is the worst. I had to get it twice. My guy, his name's, James Lee. He's a Mandarin, and he said, I have really tight, taut skin. Your skin is stretchy. My skin stretched back.
Oh,
So I did
wow.
this twice, and I said, like, make it really tight. I don't even care. So I have like a scar there or whatever. But I needed to see, because the second time I still couldn't see. It was still like, half mast over my pupils. I had half the vision other people do. And I didn't realize this until I was writing. I write with these women, Steph and Moon, and I was doing this to see. And Steph said, "Is there something wrong with your eyes?" And I realized.
Wait, is the
So
forehead thing the one that, like, lifts up the f whole face? Is that like a half face?
no, it does your eyes. He needed to do both. I didn't realize he needed any of this. Actually, you know why I thought of this? I realized that this was a thing. Carol Markowitz wrote about it in the New York Post. She's wonderful. And she wrote about getting it. She looks fantastic now. She got it
Yeah.
too, but just as like a thing. Kaiser actually paid for this because I was unable to function to see out of on my whole eye.
This book is so great. It's like everyone
Oh,
who's
thank
kind
you.
of entering into this. I love the cover too of the, like,
Thank you.
broken
Yeah, I
the
designed
broken
it.
fan. I love that.
Yeah, this is all
Um,
the entire cover. I did this type after I came home from our meetup group because I just needed to do this to make it be the right kind of crazy.
yeah.
Which and it's I think I said just one of the crazies. It's about the medical betrayal of women. This is the most patient betraying field, perimenopause and menopause. And then it's about the crazy how some women have these inexplicable rages in perimenopause because we don't have progesterone. So we're like rims on the freeway in a freeway chase, just like it's like the crazy. And progesterone, it potentiates
I've witnessed
GABA.
some of this.
Oh my God, it's amazing. And people need to understand this because women have their professional lives upended, their marriages upended.
Oh,
And if
yeah.
people just understood, like, this is like diabetes. Oh, you have a condition right now. Why don't we give you what you need to be okay again, to be
My
yourself
therapist
again?
said so many women she knows have, like, burned their entire lives down in menopause,
It's really
like,
terrible.
or
They need
perimenopause,
to.
just went crazy and, like,
I knew that's what you
torched
meant.
their marriages or what. When I saw that, like, a couple that went viral, I was like, "She's in menopause.
No, you can see, people say that to me. This woman
She's
I
burning her
know.
life down in
Oh, I
menopause."
know. I write about a woman in the book. She's the nicest. She's from South America. She's the person, like, she's there. You feel good because she's so warm and wonderful. And she told me she's being this mean bitch to her husband and he didn't deserve it. And she didn't know where it was coming from. I was like, oh my God. And I yelled. We were at a restaurant, because I couldn't believe that this is the betrayal of women that happens. And, so much of this, the stuff that I say in the book, what I do is I lay out everything you need to be healthy and flourish, including, how to destigmatize all this aging crap that's thrown on us. I don't accept that. I tell more people I'm 61. Like, I searched my Twitter and like 2 years ago or something, or 3 years ago, like I said, I'm 58, 48, 42 times. I'll tell you, like, people at a cocktail party want to let you know they went to Harvard before you licked your martini. I'm 61. because I
Yeah.
don't accept that this is my devaluing. I'm better, I'm kinder, I'm smarter, I'm more confident. Women are more sexually confident. We say what we want. It's not like, when you're in your 20s and you don't have an orgasm with the guy, you don't tell him how to get you off. Like, you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, and then like that goes on because you haven't said it and then you didn't say it. Now it's like, slower, please. Or whatever, faster over there, and you become, the person that you need to be to have your life work. And so this is a cool thing. Old is the New Black is the name of that chapter because we're
I
awesome.
think I just, like, I try to do jokes about this on stage, and feel like everyone hears menopause and they just think dry vagina, and then
Oh,
it's
I
like
know. I
you lose
know.
the room completely,
Oh,
immediately,
can I?
especially the
Yeah.
men.
Oh, no, totally. And actually, I have to say, the medicine is and research, they're so dumb about things. They call all this stuff, the down there stuff, genitourinary syndrome of menopause. It took me like 3 months to be able to remember that without looking it up. So, and I call it in the book, I call it desert vagina because, hi, like you don't know what you have unless you can like say it. And this is the thing, and it's sort of funny. And so then you can maybe like get on board with not being embarrassed about it. Don't be embarrassed because I mean, holy crap. It's like, a Cadillac getting to garage that's too small, scraping the walls. That's what, penis and dry vagina feels like, so estrogen potentiates the like mucus again in your cervix and vagina. This is a beautiful thing. It's
Mhm.
really, important. A lot of women deal with that.
Yeah, yeah, things we never it's always just people, like, don't wanna talk about it either,
Yeah.
you know?
Pee leakage. Talk about pee leakage because you want to stop it and you don't want bladder and urethral atrophy to go on. You want to like make sure those things, are cut off before they happen. That's why estrogen after menopause. I mean, I really, the whole idea of, the feminist idea and the endocrinologist Pryor and then Susan Love, they're feminists. Oh, estrogen deficiency, how offensive. Let me tell you, I was deficient. My memory in my meetup group, I told Vishal, who runs our group, Vishal, my memory should be better after Tuesday because I'm going to be starting estrogen. He said, that's the fifth time you said that to me tonight.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was like terrible, terrible. And my cognitive, ability, because I have ADHD, so you have low norepinephrine and dopamine anyway. Menopause, they lower for everyone. So I became this person, and we count off to be in groups in our meetup, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I'd have to ask Eric, who sits in, what was your number? Because I wouldn't remember mine. I mean, it was really, really frightening to be a
Yeah,
person who had like cognitive ability and then like,
yeah.
hi, I'm a blank page. So, this is really important to not have estrogen demonized wrongly like it was the Women's Health Initiative study. I should say that for anybody who's afraid. This comes out of the Women's Health Initiative study. 2002 announced that estrogen gives healthy women cancer, Alzheimer's, all these horrible things. Guess what? They didn't test healthy women. They tested women who were like 79, broken, unhealthy,
Yeah.
diabetes, obese. You give a woman who is unhealthy estrogen, it will harm her further. They probably harm these women in the study. And women who initiate estrogen who are healthy, don't have plaque buildup, and I tell you how to get all the right tests for that. Right after menopause, you initiate it. It's helpful and protective for bones, brain, cardiovascular system. Estrogen is active in every, it's
Yeah.
in throughout our bodies. So, this is not a thing where it's like, oh, I'll just, go without and be good. And women will choose not to take it. And I tell you to be healthy by exercising and everything. But still, when I found out how protective it is, there was no like, oh, should I not take this? It was, I'm going to take this. And then, there are trade-offs like, oh, breast cancer risk. The breast cancer chapter in my book, I wanted to tell you, does estrogen give you breast cancer? And you know what? It's not a carcinogen. I show that. But the thing is, the research is too heterogeneous. It's like, oh, we tested this drug on that group and this drug. Oh, and we used this drug and this drug. So there isn't a definitive answer. But 1 in 3 women will die of cardiovascular disease soon. Right now, it's 1 in 5. Women with breast cancer will die of cardiovascular disease. We have a way of looking for breast cancer. And believe me, I have large, dense breasts. You couldn't see like they're like tiny terrorists hiding there. They couldn't see
Mhm.
them. And
Mhm.
so it's scary for me, but 1 in 5 women are dying now, and so in 90% of breast cancer cases, will women will not die. I mean, it's terrible. I don't want to go through chemo. I don't. I've had so many friends do it. I mean, it's awful. But that's where I placed my own trade-off, and you shouldn't just imitate me because I have low risk of gallbladder disease. You look at your individual health, And this is something you need to do if your doctor's not doing it, because they can't assess risk. So, this is really, really, really terrible. Maybe an oncologist can, but most doctors, what's my risk of getting breast cancer? There's a really good chance almost none of them can tell you that number. And it's just simply because they don't use the right kind of statistics. I know how. I'm not a
Right.
math genius. I read this guy, Gerd Gagarinzer. He can teach that in 90 minutes to doctors, but med schools and institutions are to blame. Med schools leave doctors not knowing how to read the science, not trained in diagnostic reasoning, so they can't do the Dr. House thing, what's wrong with you? They just look at the surface often, symptom like, oh, what's the top symptom? Let's treat that. Okay, well, if you come in with headaches to the emergency room, maybe you're stressed out, or maybe you have a brain tumor. And if we mask the headaches, with some kind of drug, and you have a brain tumor, you're masking an important signal. So we needed to look for the underlying condition. This is why medicine, is just horrible. And patients don't know, their doctors tell them to take statins. They don't know the lipid hypothesis that cholesterol causes heart disease is not proven. And then heart disease seems to be caused by insulin resistance, high blood sugar, eating starchy carbs, eventually breaking that insulin response, and then, having this inflammaging where you have chronic low-grade inflammation. That's why I eat
Mhm.
this way. I just do a few things, and I don't see it as deprivation. Both Gary Taubes and I, we've talked about this. We see it as excluding the things that harm us. And that's why I
Yep.
was able to, in a day, quit bacon. I'm still want to cry about it. I eat, that day that I didn't have bacon, it was the worst too, because I ate heated herring from the tin in butter, like butter on it, like warmed. And it's really good, but I eat that because it's cheap. It's like $2.50 a tin. I make the mackerel stew now because salmon's sort of expensive. But so that's what I eat all day. So I don't eat very many things. I don't eat pork because it has high omega-6, so it's inflammatory. I try to eat low inflammation foods, get an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio and this is myfooddata.com has this, you can measure what your foods are, but of like 1 to 1 basically. And I'm eating eggs, I'm eating herring, mackerel, salmon, hamburger, beef chuck, and the eggs. This is really important. Eggs are enormously inflammatory. I'm a cheap mofo. I'm really frugal. And so I was getting those supermarket eggs with the really thin shells that you look at and they crack. And so it turns out they are enormously inflammatory. It's like eating like spoons of canola oil or, whatever it is, the inflammatory oils. And those oils, by the way, there's this debate, like, are they really inflammatory? Here's the thing. When they do studies, they give you this kind that's like made in a lab. It's pristine. It hasn't been in the cooker for like, 6 hours, like cooking people's like whatever, not rancid, so this is the reason for the discrepancy. But so this is what I'm eating during the day. And the eggs that are the least inflammatory, you have to have eggs grown with raised without soy and corn feed. All those Vital Farms eggs, those thieves. They're like putting out pastured eggs, like you're
Mhm.
like doing something. No, they have a lot of inflammatory. I think it's like that's like eating a tablespoon of like canola oil or something, And so I get these eggs, like with they say no soy, no corn on them, and they're expensive. I get them the cheapest kind are Chino Valley at Whole Foods, and they often don't have them, and they're like $8.67 instead of like, oh, we have Arrow on here. Oh my God, they charge like $16.99
Yeah.
for like a dozen eggs, and you're like, I pull the I'm from Michigan card, like, we don't pay this for eggs. Like, we don't. I need the 867 ones. And, I was so like egg starved and I couldn't get those. And so I went there and I did this. Oh, it was even worse. They were out of those. So they only had dozens. I mean, I only had like cartons of 6. They were like 10.99. I went to the
Wow.
cash register and I told them like, I'm not a person who pays this much for eggs, like $22. You like
Um,
insane.
what is your biggest defect of character?
I like chose how to live. So I'm trying to think of what I do. I guess that I'm a hothead, that
And
I scream at people sometimes when I maybe shouldn't. But sometimes they deserve it, so it's good. Like I'll ask you nicely for things. Like I'll ask you, like I'll come out and people blast music outside my house from their cars, and I know they're not thinking about it. They're not thinking like, haha, well, screw you, in most cases. So I come out and I say like, hey, excuse me, you probably don't realize this, but we hear everything indoors. And if they say, fuck you, lady, move to the valley, then I scream at them. And they kind of deserve it. Oh, and I also tell this from Mrs. Abbott Kinney, this cranky lady who got banned from Twitter. she's a neighbor here who teaches literacy to adults. She's wonderful. She would like take the hose out. So I'd be like, oh, I'll just be washing my fence now. Whoosh.
And what's your biggest asset?
Oh, so I'm never good at this. Like that, um, I live to try to make a difference for people in
I
in the
love
world
it.
to try to do good. So
And
this book is part of that.
where can we find you and your book?
Oh, so you can find my book if you go on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or indie bookstores. But Amazon, I really need reviews. Please, everybody, like post reviews. Like they can be short. And then subscribers at amyalkon.net for my Substack, which will be coming out. It'll be free twice monthly. And then where else? So I'll have that. That'll be like the site that I'm doing, and Twitter and other places too. So Amy
What's your
Alkon on
Twitter?
Twitter.
Okay,
It's Amy
perfect.
Alkon. Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much. And the book is Going
Thank you.
Menopostal. Oh,
Going
Sarah, just
Menopostal.
Going to Menopostal. What you and your doctor need to know about the real science of menopause and perimenopause. I love that I couldn't remember that for a second. It's long. Thank you
Thank
for
you
having me. This is
so
so
much,
great.
Amy. So great. It went so fast. This has been Walk-Ins Welcome with Bridget Phetasy. I'm Bridget Phetasy, and you're welcome. It's the dumbest line.